Evening, everyone. We're out on our next walk. It's obviously still the slow time of year. It's quite cool out, which is why we're normally finding one snake and then switching to the next night. But in this case, we've got one of our most common species here in Hong Kong with a bamboo pit viper. And this is a female. We can tell that because of the slightly more elongated, deep-set face, but also because of the absence of a white stripe above the lip and down the sides. So it's a bit early in the year, I suppose, for bamboos, but really they can be out in pretty inclement weather and temperatures. So it's not too surprising to find this, if nothing else. And yeah, kind of a nice surprise tonight too, because it's another night where I was expecting more of a bug walk and possibly an incidental snake, but this is pretty cool. So this one set up an ambush, and you can see the orange caudal lure right over here. That's their tail, which has an orange coloration to it. It's a great way to tell the difference between these bamboo pit vipers and the other green snake in Hong Kong, the greater green. But yeah, good example of the species and a fun find for an otherwise pretty slow night. So we're going to keep at it. If we come up with anything else, we'll check back in. Otherwise, you'll catch us again on the next walk. Okay, we're out for another walk, and tonight we're in an area where we can find one of my favorite aquatic species, the Chinese water snake. And we've lucked out. There's a little stream here where we've come upon I would call a subadult sized Chinese water snake. Now they're very shiny, so it's a little bit difficult to film with the light. You can see there how the light just reflects off them. But these are pretty much a fully aquatic species. And I'm actually standing in the water while I film this, so he's literally right on the shore. And I'm going to get back to his aquatic business in just a minute, but you can see here, we'll take a second just to talk about the species. The head's a little bit under a leaf there, so kind of hard to tell, but they have eyes positioned on top of the head, and nostrils as well, and that helps them stay mostly submerged, able to just kind of push the top of their head above the water to take in some air from time to time, and leave the rest of their body underwater while they hunt or rest or hide. You can also see here, I'm not sure how well the colors will come through, but on the lower sides, there's that lighter stripe, which is often peach or light pink in color, and that's a somewhat good differentiator between them and the much less common mangrove water snake, though probably the best differentiator is the habitats that you'll find them in. You can find Chinese water snakes where mangroves are, but not always mangroves where Chinese can be found. So Chinese tend to prefer still, murky, fresh water, and the mangroves tend to prefer the brackish mudflats. And they look very similar, aside from some of that coloration, and there's some more detailed morphological indicators that'll help you separate the two species, but that's probably one of the most visible. You can see here also the Chinese water snakes have series of black spots running the length of their body. Sometimes it forms a squiggly line up by the head. This one's got a little bit, but this one's a little bit more dotted. And they also have kind of black and cream colored ventrals, the scales on the belly, which is kind of fun if you can ever see the bottom of them, but we're not going to flip this one over, I think. Now, this is a mildly venomous species. The venom effects are not very strong for most people. You could always have an allergic reaction, but it's a lot of localized pain and swelling, a little bit of tingling. Some people have complained about headaches and nausea, but it doesn't seem like a very common side effect. So, very cool snake. We'll watch it for a few more minutes here and then get moving on and see if we can find something else. Alright, I was able to get the leaf away from the head so you get a little bit more of a clear shot there. And again, with the glare from the light, it's going to be a little bit difficult to tell, but you can kind of see the eyes are positioned on top of the head there. A very cool feature. Okay, we've got snake number 2 of the night, and this one was found by a couple of other guys that are out here herping, Ivan and Carlos. And Carlos found this one while Ivan and I were taking a look at the Chinese water snake. So we've had these on the vlog before, and this is a juvenile, might be a little bit hard to tell what it is because it's so small, but it's actually a bicolor stream snake. And pretty fresh, probably a yearling. It's a little bit bigger than a newly hatched, but still quite small. And a very cool find. We're still early in the season, it's still a bit cool out, so not expecting too much. Finding one of these is quite a lot of fun. I haven't seen one since latter half of last year. So these are also pretty much fully aquatic snakes. These are in the stream snake group, Opistotropis, here in Hong Kong. And they live in clear, fresh-flowing streams, shallow, fresh-flowing streams. So, very cool find. Already a pretty solid night tonight. And, yeah, we're going to keep looking for a little bit. And we'll check back in if we find something else. Alright everyone, we've got Chinese water snake number 2 right at the edge of the bank by a little pond. And we've already described the species here in this video, so I'm not going to take too much more time. But maybe we'll just watch this one for a minute and see if it makes its way back into the water. This is a decent sized one, actually about twice the size of the last one. And interestingly enough, it doesn't really have very vivid, bright orange markings on the side. Actually pretty muted, a bit more cream colored, kind of like the mangrove water snake. And away it goes. See if we can follow it. Maybe it's still visible. Alright, well, we've actually got a little bit more footage of this Chinese water snake as it tries to figure out where it wants to go. But it's a pretty good shot of what they look like when they move around the bottom of these pools. I'd say he's about a meter underwater right now. You can see the markings on the body really, really well. Very distinct spots running down the body. A lot more evident when they're in the water than when you're photographing them because they're so shiny. And a pretty robust little snake as well. Alright, well now it's off and through these rocks, so I think we may actually be done for the night now. Okay. Alright, there he goes. Well, we'll get back at it. Check back in if we find something else. Alright, our next snake of the evening is one of our more common encountered species, the bamboo pit viper. And this one's definitely caught whiff of our presence and is trying to make its escape. So we're not going to be able to film it for too long. But we've seen these before. Beautiful little viper species we have here in Hong Kong, one of the more common snakes. This is a juvenile, and it looks like a juvenile female, though it's always a little bit hard to tell. And one of the reasons you can tell it's a juvenile, aside from the size, you can tell the tip of the tail there is actually still a little bit black in color. They're black when they're juveniles, and then as they mature, they turn into a rusty orange color. So this one is going to be looking for a meal tonight, and you can see it's very active, tasting the air. Definitely can tell that we're here, so we're just going to move on and let it get about its business, but pretty fun find. Maybe the start of snake season beginning to creep in. But yeah, we're going to keep going. We'll check back in if we come up with anything else. But fun little find here.